Blog Talk Radio.
Writing your book is the easy part. Promoting your book so readers can find and purchase it is the hard part. Welcome to the Author Chat Show, hosted by author-publisher Lynda D. Brown. Follow us at www.facebook.com/authorchat. And to contact the show to promote your book, contact me at theauthorchatshow@gmail.com. Stay tuned and listen to today's show.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Sunday edition of the Author Chat Show. I'm your host, Lynda D. Brown. My guest today is author Ray Ortiz. This is Ray's first time on the Author Chat Show, and I'm going to be chatting with Ray about his new book, Behind the Fog. I'll be right back to chat with Ray about his book after a word from today's sponsor.
How would you like to own your own health and wellness business with celebrities like Shaquille O'Neal, Chris Brown, Snoop Dogg, Jennifer Lopez, UFC fighters Brandon Vera, Houston Alexander, DWTS's Alfonso Riviero, singer B. Howard, and MMA fighter Rich Rigmadden promoting your business for you? How would you like to share amazing, great-tasting products with your friends and family and make extra money and get free products? How would you like to earn weekly and monthly bonuses? What about getting your share of equity in this billion-dollar company? For more information, log on to www.whatareyouyoueating.info.
All right, welcome back to the show. For those of you just tuning in, today's guest is author Ray Ortiz. Ray is going to be chatting with me about his new book, Behind the Fog. Ray, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lynda. Happy to be here.
Well, great, Ray. We're happy to have you on as a guest. Since this is your first time on the Author Chat Show, why don't we get started by you telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, Lynda, I just recently actually became a publisher writer. Beyond the Fog happens to be my first book. Originally born in Puerto Rico, and as I stated in my book, I came when I was 18 years old to the city of Atlanta with only $50 on me and no English whatsoever, no family. So I have endured quite a bit of experiences that have taken me to a more spiritual level of how to perceive life. And my latest experience happens to be to deal with a divorce after 20 plus years of marriage. Actually, that was the turning point for me, where I start experiencing what I describe in the book, Beyond the Fog.
Very understandable. I think anyone who is in the process of ending a marriage after 20 years would definitely be in a very foggy state of mind. So this is what inspired you to write the book, Ray?
This was more than just an inspiration as much. It was more like a calling.
Okay.
During the process of writing the book, I felt the need to share a very common process that we all go through, regardless of our circumstances. And that is a moment in life where we go back to everything that we believe worked for us in regard to faith, set of values and so on. And in the process, we try to find answers when we're seeking them. Often we find ourselves that none of them happens to be fulfilling the need to get these clear answers that we look for. And in fact, the more that we continue searching, the deeper we find ourselves in what I call, the fog of our lives. So during the process of my own personal experience, I acknowledge that this was actually more than just my circumstances. The process in which I was trying to move beyond my issues at the time had to do with how I was perceiving life, how I was perceiving myself, my thoughts, my beliefs, and so on. And it came to me in the form of inspiration, all this information that I had put together in the form of a book. The intention of the book is very simple. This goes beyond any dogmatic belief whatsoever. This is an approach that challenged our status quo. We often find ourselves struggling with reaching a level of happiness or simply fulfilling a need at a time. And the only point of reference that we have is what we've been taught from the beginning of time. That can be influenced from our upbringings, our cultural background, our social status at the time, or simply our dogmatic background, so to speak. But everything resides in the belief that if we don't have the capabilities to understand why is that we feel the way that we feel, why we have this fog in which it doesn't matter what we do, we're still not quite there, and we don't have a point of reference, we find ourselves staying in that state of mind for a long period of time. What I've done with this book is taking the reader to understand the points of reference of why is that some of us stay in that place of searching, in that place of being confused and so on. And through the experience that I have and I went through, I take step by step in different areas of the journey how to identify the origin of these beliefs. My premises is very simple. We often approach everything that we have in our life in regard to circumstances from a point of reference that it was given to us. As long as we continue experiencing our life from a human being aspect, and our ego basically has the say-so of how we're going to deal with these experiences, we find ourselves in an emotional roller coaster because we're coming from a place of judgment. What I try to communicate in my book is that we have to have the ability to come from a place beyond our mindset, beyond our ego. And that place happens to be a heart source from our heart. In the heart, you don't have the ability of judgment, which means that your ego does not reside there. And to get to that point in which everything that we do and everything that we encounter and everything that we assimilate is from a heart source and not from an ego source, you have to definitely go through a journey of being able to change the way that you see and perceive the world and the life in general. The best example I can give you of that approach is, for instance, imagine that you have an iPod, and you're playing XYZ music that you enjoy. If you close your eyes while you're hearing that music, that music will bring you to some type of state of mind. Mm-hmm. And you perceive everything that surrounds you at the time based on that perception. The moment that you take the iPod and turn it off and the music is gone, the same space, the same surroundings become totally different. Why? Because now you are judging everything that is around you based on the perception that you have acquired. Mm-hmm. This is a very holistic approach to endure and try to make sense to our everyday life challenges. What I do personally is, and what I have come to learn and to accept, is this. The moment that I give myself permission to understand that I am a spiritual being that is here to experience the human experience, to embrace it. The moment that I see everything that happens to me from that perspective, the process of judgment got almost completely eliminated. The idea is not to take the ego out of the equation. Our ego is very important. But the ego is nothing more than the butler of the mind. It's going to basically act on whatever commands the mind tells him. But if we manage to have a balance and have the ego to serve the mind and the heart, we find ourselves coming from a totally different place in which allow us not to be victim of our circumstances. And that, in a nutshell, is what Beyond the Fog, the book, actually brings to you and to the readers.
Now, I have a question for you, Ray. Looking through you were sweet enough to send me a copy of the book. Yeah. One of the things that kind of struck me was how you, so I'm going to ask you instead of just assume, do you feel that your Catholic upbringing played a major part in the belief system that you originally had and that you had to overcome, and why?
Well, definitely. It's not necessarily, because I don't want to come across as someone saying that any dogmatic practice, it is good or bad. That's not the message here. But in my case, under the dogmatic of growing up as a Catholic, the fear of God was very much the cornerstone of my upbringing. Meaning is, if you do not obey the 10 Commandments, or if you do this, or if you do that, you will have a perception that you will not be in good grace with God, so to speak.
Right.
And I found that at an early age that was not making much sense to me, because the perception that I had of God was of unconditional love.
Right.
And again, because of my cultural background, having to challenge that was something that I was not prepared to do, especially at such an early age in my life. So I just went along and continued buying into the beliefs that kind of dogmatic practice provide, but it was not natural. Right. It was definitely not something that felt it was right. Now, again, that it is my personal experience. Yeah. all I have to say is that as I have continued moving beyond that belief, if I approach life from the point of view that everything that takes place, it is essential to having us the opportunity to evolve and know ourselves better. If I happens to be part of a creation, and that creation, as we want to label it, comes from a source of God, I should not ever have to fear of experiencing the life that I have. Doesn't matter what. And that's my take.
Okay. And so, Ray, since you found a better way, and the reason why I brought that up is I have a lot of friends that are Catholic or they were raised in the Catholic religion. And it's astounding to me how one thing that I hear from all of them is a fear of God instead of looking at God as a very loving God who wants the best for you. So were you able to convey that in your book, that you were able to go from having a fear of the Lord to, after your journey, realizing that we actually serve a very loving God?
Indeed. And, the perception that we all have, and for all, everybody has a different perception because it's very personal in regard to God itself. But, yes, in the book, I basically share that that perception of fear of God, all that it does is disempower us. It's not empowering us to really experience life the fullest, because nobody wants to have to be looking over your shoulders in regard to what you do. We come from a place because of our beliefs and set of conditions where we take everything from a point of view of right or wrong, or good or bad, or divine or not divine, for lack of better words.
Right.
If we take everything from the point of view of we are experiencing a human experience, we are more than just what we see in front of our mirror. The flesh in which we share is nothing more than the ability that we have to be able to move in this world. If we acknowledge and give ourselves permission to accept the fact that we are primarily spiritual beings, created from a divine mind and from a divine love, and everything that we are is in us already, and everything that needs to be proven, we have proved that already. We have earned the fact to be here, and embrace everything that is in front of us, as I said before, as an experience, as a human experience, an experience that takes us to levels in which will help us to understand each other better. And we put aside that concept of fear, a fear of something that supposedly has created us to its image. We will give ourselves permission to truly be more than we have ever dreamed to be.
Wow, that's powerful. I'm chatting with author Ray Ortiz, for those just tuning in. The book is Beyond the Fog, A Journey to Self-Awareness. You can find copies of the book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and where all online major book retailers. The Kindle is currently $15. The paperback is $18. The book is also available in Audible as an audio book. Is that correct, Ray?
Yes, it is indeed.
Okay, great. We're going to take another break and get a word from our sponsor for today. When we come back, Ray is going to read an excerpt from his book. So stay tuned and let's get a word from today's sponsor.
How would you like to own your own health and wellness business with celebrities like Shaquille O'Neal, Chris Brown, Snoop Dogg, Jennifer Lopez, UFC fighters Brandon Vera, Houston Alexander, DWTS's Alfonso Riviero, singer B. Howard, and MMA fighter Rich Rigmadden promoting your business for you? How would you like to share amazing, great-tasting products with your friends and family and make extra money and get free products? How would you like to earn weekly and monthly bonuses? What about getting your share of equity in this billion-dollar company? For more information, log on to www.whatareyouyoueating.info.
All right, we're chatting with author Ray Ortiz. Ray is the author of a new book called Behind the Fog. Ray is going to read an excerpt from his book. Ray, can you tell us what chapter and what page you're reading from?
Yes, I'm going to be reading from the chapter titled Love, the Universal Silver Lining of Our Lives. And it reads like this. Okay. What I am about to share with you will probably be the most important element of the process of moving beyond the fog. Most of us relate to the feeling of love from a place of emotional experience. As an example, the love we receive from our parents or our children, our relatives, our friends, our mates, our pets, and or our unique interests. Few of us relate love from a heart source because we have a tendency to create conditions on how we are willing to accept or share such emotional experience. When our ego is leading us forward on how we should give and accept love, all sorts of conditions based on our set of beliefs becomes the blueprint for us. In reality, true love is always unconditional, is always pure, and is always whole. Our heart center reveals to us that our essence is love. Our spiritual DNA is love. Our divine energy is love. As long as we try to define love from our ego perspective, we will always struggle with experiencing fulfillment. To allow real love to be part of our experience, we must surrender to all expectations and attachment created by such beliefs. How can we understand and experience this source of our essence if we put so many conditions on it? How can we expect live a life of being in love if we do not love ourselves first? The meaning of being in love is to be in spirit, is to be in touch with the source in you that allows you to experience bliss without any judgment. This scenario often is manifested when we engage for the first time in a relationship. However, the length of this emotion is defined until our ego judgment takes over. As many of us have asked, Why can't such feeling stay with us forever? Why must it change? Why can it be that way all the time? The answer is because until we are not clear about the source of our beliefs and how they manipulate our emotions, we will continue to see our ego getting the best of us. All expressions of love that we can think of cannot be expressed truly until we can understand the source. Everything that we perceive as primal is ignited by the essence of love. If we stop and watch children at the stage of infancy before their minds start creating an ego, we will remember the essence of our genuine selves. The love they radiate from their eyes, smile, and touch are as pure as a divine personification of our origin. Our human experience is designed for us to see in others everything that we must remember, learn, and embrace. The mist of our thought in our lives will start dissipating when we get in touch with our essence of self-love. We cannot give, share, or even experience what we do not understand and have. Relationships of all sorts, whether material, emotional, or spiritual, are all governed by the same essence. It is a universal law that keeps not only us in balance, but all the elements that constitute our reality. It is not simple nor complex. It is just it. No conditions, no attachments, no judgments, and we will experience our powerful self.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you so much, Ray. Now, Ray, before we go, we're down to about 90 seconds. You are now a life coach and a spiritual counselor. Are you still in the Atlanta, Georgia? Georgia area?
Yes, I'm still in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
I have a life coaching practice. I can be found at the eurekaeffect.info.
Okay.
And as you saw in the back of the book, I'm working on several new books as we speak right now.
Okay. Would you do me a favor after the interview, log on to the Author Chat Facebook page and put your online contact information on there? We have a lot of listeners in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and we want them to connect with you if there is something that you could do for them, or you two can work something out or do some projects together. It was wonderful having you on our show today. Again, the title of the book is Behind the Fog. The author is Ray Ortiz. And Ray, again, one final word for our listening audience before I let you go.
Yes, I'd like to first of all say that this is definitely a humble experience for me. Having the opportunity to share this book is more than just a mission. It is, like I said, it's a calling. I know that I'm not the only one who has gone through this experience. And if this book can help to facilitate one person at a time the opportunity to see life from a different perspective of empowerment, then everything that I've gone through has been worthwhile. And I thank you for that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we thank you for coming on the show and sharing your experience and your book with us. We wish you all the best, and we look forward to having you back on the show. Are you working on a new book?
Yes, I'm actually working on a new book. My next book, as title, is The Backpacker, the spiritual teaching of traveling light.
Oh, great. Okay. Okay, well, please contact me when that book is out, and we'll be happy to help you promote that.
I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to talk to you all again soon. Thank
Absolutely,
you.
Ray. Oh, anytime, sweetheart. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and enjoy your Sunday. Take care.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, again, that was author Ray Ortiz, O-R-T-I-Z. The title of the book is Behind the Fog. Great book if you're dealing with some issues. Like you mentioned before, how many of us have went through something painful and it puts us in a state of fog? We're, just walking around, not quite sure what's going on. If you'd like to get a copy of the book, you can find the book on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, Books A Million, and we're all online book retailers, all major online book retailers. Again, the title is Beyond the Fog, A Journey to Self-Awareness. The paperback is $18 on Amazon, and the Kindle is $15. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on the Sunday edition of the Author Chat Show. I do have to seriously apologize for yesterday. I did have an author, Pam Weber, scheduled to come on, but our church had a wonderful prayer brunch, and I just knew that I was going to get back in time to host the show, but unfortunately I did not make it. So I contacted Pam, and we're going to have her on this Wednesday, the 27th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, and we're going to be chatting with her about her book, The Wiregrass. So thank you for tuning in today. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and thank you for tuning in to the Author Chat Show. Goodbye.